Hello, everyone. Welcome to the episode 6 of our series, Fundamental for Python Networking. So today we'll be talking about a configuration generator in which we'll be bringing up everything we've done for the past 5 episodes, putting it together and see how it's going to work. So we are going to pull some inventory using the CSV files, create a conditional logic, then generate configuration files for the respective devices. So let's dive in. So I expected you have a Python installed on your terminal. Currently, I'm using a VS Code as my IDE to work with. So let's take a step backward with the CSV file. So I have a test CSV file here, which has host name, type, as the header, site, the management IP, and access VLAN. So we have the host name. So the router doesn't have an access VLAN. So today, in this text, we will try to work with the CSV file as a text file, and let's see how it even looks like. So working with the CSV file, so if you remember, we're going to import CSV as a module. Since we are working with the CSV file, import CSV. Then the next thing is that we're going to use our with open handler in episode 4. So you should remember. So with open handler, then we're going to call the file name, which is the text.csv file we're working with, text.csv. So which mode are we using? We're actually reading the content. So we're going to use the read mode. So we can call it as file as a colon. So the next thing is going to be that, okay, let's create a reader. A reader is going to be like a variable equals csv.dictReader. So these are the option methods that are available for the CSV is a module. So it has several methods in it. So this is a dict reader we're going to use, then into bracket file. So with this, we've been able to read the content of our CSV file. So at the end of the day, so what I'm going to do now is I want to print the content of my read. So at the end of the day, we bring in reader into the Python file. So, and we've been able to read it out. So now let's try to see what can we do with it. So we can say for devices, so for device, using a for loop for device in reader, so print device. So with this, it's going to print. So let's save it and Python. So you can see it has created a list of all the devices available in our CSV file. So you can see that this is going to be more like a list of dictionaries. So with this now, for example, if I want to get only the names, so I can now work with the key value pairs of the dictionary. So the dictionary for each is a device. Device is a dictionary. Then we can now work with, okay, let's get an item from the dictionary. So for example, if I want to get the host name of all devices, I can just print host name. So let me save this. And then, so I just want to print the host name. So you can see I get the host name of all the devices. So I can also say, okay, let me just print the MGMT IP. That was the management IP. So with this, I have so you can see that I was able to print all the management IP. So this actually enables me to actually work with all the content of the devices. So for example, now if I actually want to, okay, let me highlight this. Let me just highlight this follow. So the next thing is I can say devices equals lists of reader. So I'm just converting the reader into a list. So I can then print devices. So it's going to give me a list of dictionaries for in which each of the devices are dictionary. So you can save it. As I save it, so let's run it. So you can see that at the end of the day, I have a list of dictionary. So this is actually the basic steps in how to work with the CSV file. So let's go to the real uh, example for today. So in this, I have an inventory file, have a list of 20 devices, including routers and switches. So what I want to do is I want to create a configuration for each of these devices. So for the switches, I want to be able to create a VLAN based on the access VLAN in the CSV file. And for the routers, I just want to create a BGP, advertise the BGP network, and also create an uplink on on an interface on the router. So those are the things I want to be able to do, and I want to be able to generate the config for each of the respective file. So what I'm going to do is can come to this. I have the code here already, but I can just walk through it together. So we are going to import the CSV module, as we all know. So this OS module is actually a module to be able to interact with what you have with your directory folder. So in this, so this is saying, okay, I want to create a new folder, and the name of the folder is going to be generated config. So this part of the code is showing, okay, create this folder if it doesn't exist. So now let's go to the main block. So I'm reading the CSV file, which is my inventory file. After reading it, the host name of the device is actually the first header from the inventory file. This is the host name. So New York City call 01, that's the host name of the device. So the host name is the first header. So this is just like a print statement. Like I'm working with it, with it. So I've already used the with handler to open the inventory file, and also I'm iterating through the CSV content. So I'm using a for loop. So it's going to iterate it over each device one after the other. Then I'm assigning the config text. That's my configuration template. So I'm creating the host name, the IP domain, and I'm creating a username. So this config context. So now let's make it now a bit twisty. So now there is a conditional here that if device type is equals to router. So if the device type is equals router, this is equals router. So then append, this is more like, this plus equals is more like an incremental value. So we have a config text before at the upper side of the code, but this is saying, okay, add it to the existing config text if the device type is equals router. Do you get? So then I put in description, one uplink, the IP address based on the management IP from the CSV file. Then router, just basic BGP router configuration, and I advertise the IP address. Then else if the device is a switch, it should actually append this below configuration. So the configuration from a router is going to be different from the configuration for each switch. And at the end of the day, you should save them. So if you remember, if you want to save a file, wants to create a file, you are going to use the with handler, but it's going to with the write mode. So the write mode is going to create a new file, and this is the name of the file. We've actually created it here. So the output folder / the host name. So that means that it's going to create an individual config file for each of the device. Then append the config text is a keyword. So config file.write, then append the config text. That's our configuration template that we have above, and save it for each of those files. So now let's try and run it. Python config generator CSV file. So you can see immediately it doesn't take up to 1 minute, less than 15 seconds or 30 seconds. You generated the config file, so you can have it here. So this is an access switch, so you can see that it was able to generate the configuration file, the host name, the username, based on what you have on the template. This is a switch for this particular device. So let's take a router. I have a router here. So it was able to generate the config, and this is a router. I want an interface on the gigabit Ethernet 1. The description is the one link, and also the BGP configuration there as well. And it was able to do this for 20 devices as much as possible. So in the next episode, we'll be going or working with a practical example of working with a JSON file, how to work with a JSON file. Then after that, we are going to finish and the fundamental series, then go to the next real thing whereby we're going to be connecting to real device. So all this configuration we generated, how we're going to upload it to the devices. So that will take us to how we can connect to network devices in real time. So stay up to date with the series and follow me with the YouTube videos. And thank you for joining me today. If you have any question, you can put it on the comment section. So I'm going to add a GitHub repository to this video so that you can follow the code as well. Thank you. See you next video. Bye.